Fertilizer and transplanting plants. Where exactly do you place it? Do you place it at the bottom of the root ball, around the root ball, on top of the root ball? Does it matter if you do an organic or synthetic? Does it make a difference? Well, today's video, we're going to discuss the science behind exactly where to place your fertilizer, because it can and will make a big difference depending on what your goals may be. The inspo for this video actually came from me dealing with a farmer. I do not know, a bachelor's of science in soil science. I specifically work with fertilizers. And interestingly enough, I literally was helping someone troubleshoot an issue with a mid-row bander. Now, if you don't know what a mid-row bander is, it's quite literally mid-row banding fertilizer between the seed pathways. So rather than the seed being placed with the fertilizer, above, below, or beside, it's actually placed in between the rows in their entirety, which is actually another option when it comes to what we do with our gardens. And then I started, of course, thinking about all the reasons for why you would mid-row band over put things directly into a seed or a transplant hole. And I thought to myself, it's not just farmers that are interested in this sort of science. There are gardeners that are equally as interested in it. So I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to do a video on something that would help some of you or make you rethink exactly how you're placing your fertilizer into your seed hole. Now, here's a concept that I don't think a lot of people actually look at, and that is the root magnet effect. And it's very real. So roots don't just grow willy-nilly. They actually grow in regards to stimuli. So if they sense a higher concentration of fertilizer coming from above, below, the side, they will actually cruise towards it, which means that if it is too far away, it won't get to it in time, or if it's too close, it will cause burning or just no growth at all. If it's below it, it'll dig deeper, and this in turn can help you maybe stay with a drought because you have a deeper root system where it's able to access water that is not so easily evaporated from the soil system as a whole. So let's look at option number one, and that is directly below the root ball. So what we're doing here is we are placing the fertilizer at the bottom of the root hole, the planting hole, the transplant hole, the hole, at the bottom of the hole, the base. We're penetrating all the way. Kane, if you go in that, or I will put you as fertilizer in my garden. Kane, get your ass out of there. Now you better tuck tail and run. So anyways, what will happen here is it, like I said, will drive those roots downwards. This can help with the drought, but it also can cause issues. So for example, our seedling roots are a little bit sensitive, even when we're transplanting. Because there's a lot of breakage there, they can be sensitive. So if we want to have a garden that is better designed at taking on a drought, we would want to plant below the root ball. The best way to do this is to do the hole, dig a hole 3 times the size of your original root ball, and then actually put the fertilizer at the bottom, put some soil over top of that, then put the root ball onto its level, and then put the rest of the soil in and around the sides. This is going to force that root downwards, which is what you want if you're going into a very hot environment, a very dry environment, or into what you think is a super El Nino, like we're supposed to do here in North America, which means no more snow for Canada. So I'm just going to say it here right now. I'm thankful for global warming if it actually happens, because Canada's cold for the last 2 years. The next option we have is beside the root ball. And this is what I like to call the root invitation method. Then you're going to place the fertilizer at the edges, kind of pack it along the edges. You want it around 2 to 5 inches away from the root ball. So you again can get that exploratory root system going side to side. You could kind of do like a whole 360, some on the bottom, some on the top. That works as well. Again, synthetic or organic, this will work with. And it is probably one of my favorite, well, not my favorite. We'll get to my favorite, but it's my second favorite option. And your next option, quite literally, is that mid-row banding. And the mid-row banding effect is very important because you don't end up with that root berm and you really force those roots outward. So that nutrient concentration, that salt concentration, is going to cause those roots to really dig for it. So the farther we put it away, the more expansive a root system we get. And you guys know I'm kind of hyper-focused on root systems. I care about the temperature of the root system. I care about, them being potted up into tall pots of the root system. I care about, for example, how much you wrestle and tussle them before you transplant them and how much you disrupt the root system. Because your below ground biomass is directly related to your above ground biomass amount, health, and how it performs. Loss and end rot, all your nutrient deficiencies your ability to take on a drought, your ability to take on a flood, your ability to survive in sandy or clay. So it's all dependent on that root system more so than the above ground biomass. The above ground biomass is important because it's great for photosynthetic rates and et cetera and so forth, but it isn't as integral compared to the root system. That is the bread and the butter. I may be biased again due to my background, but it's truly what I do believe. And so mid-row banding is quite literally as it sounds. You're going to put a higher concentration of fertilizer, much more than you would if you were to place it anywhere near the root ball. And it's because you are feeding two plants. Remember, it is in between two plants. You're going to have one plant here, and the nutrient value is going to be in the middle of that at the depth that your root ball is at, maybe slightly below that root ball. And that gives you kind of that trifecta where you have them digging outwards and downwards to get to it. So you end up with a very expansive root system, and it is hands down the best method. Now, there are some nuance here, and your soil type can and will change what you decide to do. Depending on the method you go for, can and will be determined by the soil type you're dealing with. So for example, a clay soil has a very little nutrient movement. It's kind of locked in place. Clay soil has something called a cation exchange capacity that is incredibly high. This high cation exchange capacity really means it has a very high ability to hold on to nutrients and concentrations of nutrients. So because it can hold on to so much, it takes a lot for it to be able to start leaching outwards, downwards or upwards, volatilized or leached via water anywhere else in that soil system. So a clay soil, mid-row banding may not work for you. You actually may want to go with the side placed or the below ground, preferably the side placed, because the below ground is going to cause that root to drill. And if you're in a clay soil, you may not want that drilling because you may have mottling or waterlogging. Mottling is a sign of waterlogging or water table that's moving up and down a lot. So any signs of mottling, any signs of flooding, any signs of high saturation, we don't want it underneath. We want it on the sides. Now, the opposite extreme to that is obviously a sandy soil. So a sandy soil, our nutrients is able to move a lot. It's able to move down. It's able to volatilize and gas off. It's able to move sideways, and it'll move sideways through capillary action with water, anything that's water soluble. And so the mid-row banding is great and arguably better than anywhere near that root ball. Now, say you're looking at the soil textural triangle and you've watched my videos in the past about how to determine what your soil texture is. If you want a new video on that soil texture, please let me know in the comments down below and I will make one. Actually, regardless of that, I will make one. And in that, so if you want to actually watch that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You're subscribing to a real person that gardens to the middle of the night, has a day job, and it's incredibly helpful for the channel. It helps it gain more reach. It helps me continue to get you the content that is valuable to you and your garden. Plus, I'm forever grateful for you guys for even giving me this opportunity to be on your TVs, your cell phones, your computers, wherever I may pop up as a tiny little screen person or maybe a jumbo screen person. Does anyone watch me on like a big screen? Do I look Hulk-ish? That make me happy. I'm on the big screen. I'm 70, not like a theater screen, just a 70-inch something or other. Samsung Smart TV. That'd be perfect. Like I said, if you have a loam soil on that soil textural triangle, depending on where you are in the loam scale, you can adjust this accordingly. So sandy loam, you may just choose, mid-row, slightly to the side, underneath. For sandy soil, of course, you also want to go below that root ball to force those roots downwards to be able to dig for more moisture because your moisture holding capacity is lower, higher up in the soil profile you get. So if you have a sandy loam, obviously you want to do sides, maybe closer together and below. If you have a sandy loam, you're going to do your mid-rows and underneath. If you have a clay loam, maybe you don't do underneath and you do your mid-rows a little bit closer just because of that lack of reach. All of these things will help you determine exactly where you're going to place that fertilizer. If you get curious, to let me know in the comments down below if you are ever cognizant of exactly where you decide to place your fertilizer in regards to your root ball, or if you've just never really thought of it before, thought it mattered. It does. Truly, it does. It matters at the time of the transplant and how much root gets burnt, I guess, for lack of a better term, or damaged. It also has to do with how far those roots decide to reach for new nutrients, which in turn will affect your ability to add more organic material, add new enzyme activity further into that soil profile, which in turn makes a better soil structure, and then also how far it digs for nutrients, that sort of thing. If we're talking perennials, I don't care if you're in a clay or a sandy soil. You want that nutrients way, way out there. When you do those spikes, you don't want them at the base of the tree or the bush. You want it in between the trees and the bushes because that's what we want our roots to do. We want them to bridge out. Helps against mechanical damage, high winds, hails, dogs, kids, humans, you name it. But it also helps to ensure that it makes it through a drought, things of that nature. So with that being said, this is my latest and greatest, and that is what Google says you should watch next because they are watching you. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.